Well, hey team, if any of you are frequent flyers on this channel, you may have noticed on other videos that Shadow suffered a little bit of a mishap. So here's what she looked like a couple of months ago. Unfortunately, while she was sitting minding her own business, someone decided to drive their car straight across the front of her bumper and ended up ripping the whole thing off. Lucky for us, it happened to be someone who was very nice and got in touch and let us know what had happened. They had insurance, I had insurance, and off Shadow went to get assessed. Hi, Shadow. And now it's a couple of months later, she's back home and she doesn't look any better. So what's happened? Well, the insurance company honoured the claim. It went out for a repairs quote, and being a Tesla, the quote came back at a ridiculously high amount. So I don't normally talk money, but just to show you how ridiculous the system is, they quoted over $16,000 to fix this car. Now the thing is about insurance companies is they have to pay to make it as new. And given she's a 9-year-old electric vehicle with 250,000 Ks on the clock, I don't need her to look like new. What we're really dealing with here is just the bumper skin, and a few of the sensors have ripped out here as well, as you can see. And there's a little scuff on this quarter panel here, so they quoted painting all of that and all the front end, and new headlights, which are fine, new struts and supports inside the bumper, which are fine. And luckily, before it went for repair quotes, I took the time to have a look at the damage and to have a look at what it might take to repair. And I actually think I can save this bumper, I can get it back to roadworthy, and we'll be back on the road, I reckon, for almost no money, and I don't think it's going to be very much time either. So I've stolen what's left of the light this evening. We're going to try and take this bumper off, and then we'll have a look at the damage, see what we need to do before we put it back on. I really did think about this for a while, whether I would just get it repaired for simplicity. Obviously, it's a Tesla and everybody worries, Tesla, hard, expensive to work on. Also, I knew I wouldn't get to it for a few months, so it's actually been off the road since May. It's now September. But the whole point of this channel is to show that, you know, you don't actually need professionals to do everything on your cars, and even a car like a Tesla, there's a lot of things you can do by yourself, and I reckon this is one of those things. So let's take a look. Hopefully it's not too bad. I have fingers crossed it's going to be quite easy, but I don't want to be counting chickens, but let's get stuck into it. So most of the work's actually already been done, partly by the accident and partly by the assessor. It's not supposed to be too complicated. The first thing is to pull off your shrouds around your frunk there so you can access things. You've got 2 major screws here, but maybe save them till last. You've got some trim clips underneath along the bottom here, which connect the stone guard of the spoiler to the stone guard of the main body. And then up under the wheel arch, right at the joint of the front bumper cover to the quarter panel or the wheel guard, you've got, see if we can see it here, this screw here. So that holds the bumper up against the guard. So you unscrew that on that side, and there'd be one on this side as well, but it's already ripped through. So really for us, we've just got to unscrew the screw on this corner, these 2 here. Well, that one's not even attached, so don't need to do that one. Oh, looks like we've got one more down there to do. So that ended up being another 10mm bolt actually. Just a screw coming undone. That should then just allow this to pop off. That off, that's off, just this one left. So that one's now loose, this one's loose. We'll undo the last of our tape that's holding everything together. And now, this should all just come off. The whole thing is off. Just got the wiring loom to worry about. I don't actually want to undo the entire wiring loom. I want to mess with this as little as possible. All I wanted to do is reseat it because it got all twisted and broken when it got ripped off. Get all that old tape off. Obviously got some cleaning up to do there. So now that we've got it off, we can see the damage there's really not much in here. As far as obvious stuff, we've got this sensor here ripped off. You can see it's ripped off on there, but we did save it. So it's, where is it? There it is. It's right here, and it ripped at the plug, so it's the plug itself that broke. You can see in there, it's there. So I don't know if that'll need to be replaced or not, but we can hook that back up and see if we have any luck. The other thing I've noticed is this unit here, which is your fog light and vent unit, that's ripped off. You can see there, that should be hard against there. This bit here is all folded inside out, so we can pull that back out. That should be there. And then all of this needs to tuck back in. It's broken here and down here, but we'll see if we can force it back. And one of the reasons why it needed to come off was it wouldn't actually go back on the way it was. And I think that tweak was causing this to be well out of alignment everywhere. So if we can focus on getting this back lined up, which shouldn't be too hard. And what I might do is test fit it and put it all back together and see if it just lines up. And if it does, then we can pull it back off another day and glue all these things back in place. The only big unknown, and the thing that's going to potentially cost a lot of money, is this bumper was so far off that it meant a lot of strain went on this wiring loom. I'm hoping it hasn't done any internal damage to the loom. It's got a long thread on it there, and you can see a plug down in there. Can you? Maybe you can't, the cobweb's in the way. And you can see the plug down in there. So it is replaceable, but I'm hoping we don't need to replace the whole loom. But we shall see. So one thing I did in advance, I knew I'd lost a whole bunch of trim clips, and it's going to be critical to hold this bit in place because the trim clip should go, those two holes should be lining up. So I ordered ahead and got a whole bunch of trim clips. So the first thing is going to be to see if we can get this to line up again. It might be a bit of a challenge. It looks like it might need some heat or something, which I don't have on me right now, but we'll see what we can do. So just looking at this front nose cone a bit closer, this is broken in here. Not too worried about that because this is going to hold it nice and tight up here once we get it there, but it's still tweaked. So I've popped a brick under there to try and get some leverage. I undid this one here, which is another one of these. Try and realign it. We'll see if we can get it to clip into place. Alright, so I've got this tweaked around. It's not great. You can see there's a lot of stretch in the plastic bumper here, but I've got this hole to line up. So I'm going to put one of these in. Alright, so that's in. Sorry, two-handed job, so I couldn't do it with you. Now I'll try and screw the back side of this one to pull this into place. Okay, that one's done. This one would be the last piece of the puzzle, but it's broken, so we just want to make sure it's not in the way. It looks like it might be causing some resistance there, so I'll clip around that. Just realized I needed another one of those, so I've put that on. And we can't glue this one back into place just yet. That's going to take some specialty glue, which we'll get another day, but I'll make sure it's all lined up. All seems to be pretty good. We will try and maybe zip tie this back together with some pressure, and then we'll get something temporary to glue it to there, see if the parking sensors come alive again or not. So I don't have the right glue at the moment, so I've got some temporary sticky stuff. So there we go, that's ready to go on. Should probably clean that first. I'm just going to use some contact cleaner and a rag, just because contact cleaner dries almost instantly. There we go, just enough sensor here. Stick that on. Okay. Pretty sure it's lined up. hopefully we might get some life out of that. Plug in. Again, I'm going to put a zip tie on that one as well to hold it in place. So there we go, that's now zip tied on as much as possible just to hold it all in place. Now I can start putting the bumper back on, see if it will actually go on now. So what we'll do, we'll put these ones on first, see if it hangs, and then go from there. So they're just resting in place. Now I'm going to put the sides up. This one I can do straight away because I've got the screw out, but I've just remembered the screw's still in this side. It got ripped through, so I'm going to have to undo that. So I got the screw out of there. You can see the other side's in. I haven't screwed it in yet, but it's clipped in. We're still getting a bit of an interference fit over here, so we're going to have to look around and see what the issue is. So I found the issue. We've got this broken mount, which meant this was dropping, which meant in here, this bit here had an interference fit. So just gotta hold this in place for now, lift this up, and there we go. I just felt it go into place. Now I should be able to hook the top up. And there we go. She's a little rough, but she now fits and is staying in place all by herself without any speed tape or anything. And I'm just going to put a run of speed tape just here because I don't trust that join, and that screw that's holding everything together is not actually holding on to anything. There we go, that'll stop it moving around, and we'll see it start to fail in the tape before it actually comes off, if it does at all. I'm going to put the screw back in here. There we go, that's done up. I've also noticed over here this little cover covering the sensor on this corner. Definitely don't have that on the other side, so we'll need to get another one of those. So that side's all done up. As you can see, that one still marries nice and close, good body gaps. This side's a bit more stretched out, you can see there. When we take it off next time, we might have to pull that back up in there, maybe bang it up or something. We shall see. And here's where that cover's missing, so I need to get one of those covers to protect that sensor, the one that broke. That's if it works at all. Now we'll tighten these up. And now the bolt under here. There we go. You can see this one on the bad side ripped through, but we'll undo it and hook it back on anyway. There we go. And then the last thing I'm going to do for now is pop this piece back on, because this piece attaches the body mounts here to this part of the bumper, so it'll help keep everything in as well. So I've got to pull these all out, reattach them to here, and then pop it in. So now I'm going to line these all up. Like that. Bang them in. And on the back side here. And there we go. And now put two more in those holes. There we go. There we go. And that should just help hold it all together a bit better. This is already looking a lot better over here. Not perfect, but a lot better. And there we go. Front bumper is once again properly fitted with some tape. I'll leave all the shrouds off for now because we will eventually be back in there, but we'll see how this goes. So we've packed everything away. Big question is, when we start her up, will we get an auto park sensor type error? Nothing yet. See what happens. Do we have sensors? We have parking sensors. What does that say? autopilot features, temporary unavailable. So our parking sensors are working again. What if we do a soft reset? So the car has completely shut down. Soft reset underway. There we go, it's waking up now. Still autopilot features unavailable. Well, part one, not a complete success, but not a complete failure either. We got our parking sensors back, which is great. We might have to pull that bumper off again and have a look at the autopilot radar and see if there's some wiring issues there. But I also noticed there's a big update that needs to come through, so maybe it's just a coincidence and have something to do with that. But right now we're going to go for a drive, put some charge on it. I will bring it back and install that update, and I'll let you know if anything's changed. So we're back the next day and we still have the error. I've just turned the car on so that the errors refresh, and these top three here are the ones that matter. And talking to our friend ChatGPT, looks like the issue is the radar calibration and potentially an electrical issues. We've done some basic steps to try and rectify. We've taken the car for a drive. We've made sure we've cleaned the radar, and we've done a software update, a soft reset, a full power cycle, and none of that has fixed it. So I think it's going to be a hardware issue, which makes sense. It could be a plug or something like that, or just the bump to the bumper has damaged the radar itself. So this is the suspected culprit down here. But for now, we're just going to enjoy the fact that Shadow's back on the road, take the win, getting the bumper realigned and remounted properly, and we'll drive it for a little while, make sure there's no other issues, and then look out for a part two down the road where we'll pull the bumper back off and see if we can have a win with that radar. So the only thing left to do this weekend is to clean her up and take her for a drive. So final product for the weekend. Pretty happy with that. A little bit of scuff residue there and up here, which is where the initial impact was. A little bit of a tweak just here. As we saw before, misalignment in here, but barely can see it. And still something going on with that guy. So to get it to this point, I'm $7 into a trim clip kit. That's about it. I will take that every day of the week. So that's this weekend's win, and we'll try and fix those last few things along the road. Well, I was going to leave the video there, but in the time it took me to edit it together, look what's happened. We are moving, and we have no warning. We are driving, and we have no warning. We can cruise control, and we can autopilot. So my initial suspicion was that the wiring loom on the front radar was corrupted from the bumper being ripped off, whether it was loose or broken. We hadn't looked at it carefully. So I had planned to pull the bumper off in a few days and look at it, but over the last few days of driving and reading around, it sounds like the radar might have been slightly out of alignment compared to where it was originally, and it has recalibrated itself through some driving. So that's friggin' awesome. It might not be perfect, but it's pretty damn close. We set out to get it back to roadworthy and functional, and here we are. And really, the only issue we've got left, functionally or cosmetically, is the scuff mark here. We've got to fix the bumper here so that the screw holes are in place rather than the speed tape. But I can live with both of these. There's obviously still some doing that could be done inside the bumper with the things that have broken or come loose. But we are mission accomplished. We are both roadworthy and functional now that that radar has recalibrated. And all for $7 worth of trim clips. She may not be new, she may not be perfect, but that's a hell of a lot better than the 16 grand quoted by the insurance company. So we're gonna call that a win. We might come back later and look at it a little more, but for now, I'll see you next time.